The COYGIG Pod
on Off the Ball
in association with Cadbury, official snack partner of the Republic of Ireland women's national team.
Katie McCabe, a huge goal.
I'm very proud of the team's performance.
We're going to go out there to beat them. We're going to try and beat them.
Hello and welcome back to the COYGIG podcast. My name's Alanna Cunnane, stepping in for Kathleen McNamee, and while it may be April Fool's Day, we've no joke stacked COYGIG pod coming your way here today. Today, as always, I'm joined by Duggan and Scarlett Herron to look back on the weekend's WSL action, as well as preview Ireland's upcoming games against Greece. Before all that though, the question on everyone's minds, was it a penalty in P. Mount Shell?
There's no question on anyone's mind. There is no question there to be had. No, but if you're on the other side, you're pretty happy with your teammate having to hit the deck like that. I mean, it's part of the game, I guess. It's just, I don't think we were just extra frustrated because obviously we were doing a bit of a rebuild and we've come on really quickly. I think we've done really, really well. And we've very little to show for it from the 3 games, so I think that's part of our frustration. But to go and kind of very much put it up to Shelbourne at this stage of the season, I think we can be pretty happy with that, considering how stacked they are and how pipped for the title they were at the start of the season. So we have to try and take the positives, because if you dwelled on it too much, you'd lose your mind, because it was poor now. It was a poor old decision.
Yeah.
These things happen. Like, I think the ref had a good game other than that, but
yeah, it's tricky. Like, I saw you chatting to Aaron in the WSL afterwards and talking about how, and you were completely right, like the game was shaded by either side of you in either, and then it's just for it to come down to a decision that's so kind of I suppose,
I think both teams would have come away and said a draw, grand, it is what it is. But look, that's the way things go. Sometimes luck is on your side, sometimes it's not. A couple of seasons ago it seemed to like roll with us. I think when you're on that kind of a roll, you get more and more luck, and then when you're not, it just, all those little things go against you. But that's just the way it is. We've a break now to pick ourselves up. We picked up a few knocks, so hopefully by the time international break is over, we can come back, because we've another big one after that against Rovers. So they were coming thick and fast for us at the start of the season. Didn't give us too much time to find our feet, but
also good. The COYGIG Pod Derby, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you be looking forward to that one, and how do you guys?
The podcast is cancelled that week.
Yeah,
I mean, I think we are looking forward to it. I think it's, it's become one of those games where there's a bit more to it than it just being a game, just because of how everything kind of went down a couple of seasons ago. But I think Rovers are in the same boat as us. They brought through a lot of young players as well. So it's just about how everyone's settling and how everyone's gelling together. Like, it's still early days.
And then elsewhere, obviously, Russia made headlines once again, scoring from the halfway line, and then subsequently for her tweet, I saw someone say she got the goal of the week and the tweet of the week nearly in the one go. Obviously, you were there for that one, Scarlett. I even saw it actually made the Sky Sports social media account. So this is the type of exposure people were talking about that she had the potential to bring.
Class, like I got sent that going so many times, and on Sunday people going like, Jesus, like what a strike. Like, not really people who wouldn't even like know really about football or would even talk to me about football, people I wouldn't like, you kind of half know, would send it to me on Instagram or whatever. Yeah, it was great. And obviously the tweet to follow it was the joke of the day in the group chat then the next morning. But I know Rouge's impact's been brilliant, like, and even Naoimh Clancy was speaking about it yesterday. It's not even just the impact on us, it's the impact on the entire league, and just what she brings to our team, first of all, is really, really good. Obviously that experience of having a full career behind her and all the games and sort of the experiences she had. And as Karen said, we're a young team, we have a lot of young players coming through, and even for myself to have Rusha there to look up to and to sort of pick her brain at training and stuff and say like, what do you think of this? Like, just different perspectives as well is really, really good. And obviously that of playing in different leagues, playing for your country, like it's brilliant. Like, it's really enjoyable playing alongside her, and she's definitely a character as well.
That's for sure. Then looking ahead to obviously the Ireland games, because it's what everyone will be talking about this week. Obviously this Friday, 5 o'clock our Irish time, we take on Greece, and then the following Tuesday, Ireland Greece at Tallaght Stadium at 7:30. First of all, I guess your guys' reaction to the overall squad, because I don't think you've talked about it since it came out. And then how would they feel going into this window? Because following the 1-0 win against Turkey and then kind of that shell-shocking loss to Slovenia, it's a bit of a different one for them.
Yeah, because I think they would have expected to go into the previous camp and come out and there be a kind of positive aura around the place, and it was very much the opposite to that. I kind of said it after that camp that I'd imagine that they were gunning to get back in to kind of put it right. Obviously, there's a small bit of change in the squad, but the majority has remained the same. And they're coming towards the end of their season, so you don't know how people's headspace is. A lot of people have nothing left to play for in the season, so it's just maybe they're just clawing their way through to the end of May because they've had long years, and some people, they'll be buzzing. I think there will be a mix, but it's important that they generate some sort of buzz immediately because the previous camp was such a downer, and if they don't improve markedly in this camp, there'll be more questions and more attention put on them, and I think that's the last thing people want. In terms of the overall squad, I think it's good to see someone like Aoibhinn Clancy in, because she's been around the league for so long. You kind of think she's older, but she's actually still a very young player who's coming up, and she made the move to Shells. She's obviously showing her ambition and her commitment to trying to break into that team and to improve herself. So, like you say, maybe that's the Rusha effect, but it's very good. She's a very, very talented player, and I think someone who, if she continues to make the improvements we've seen even in the more recent times, is someone who could potentially break in there and make an impact. Eventually she'll have to go pro. I think that's a given, but for now it's good to expose her to that level. And then I think a lot of people are happy to see Saoirse Noonan back in. Obviously she's done phenomenally well for Celtic, and we're not blessed with people who are just scoring regularly. And I think a lot of it with strikers is confidence, and hopefully she can bring that in and make an impact as well. So I don't think there's much talking points in terms of the squad. I don't think there's anything too controversial there, really. I don't know, Scarlett, what do you think about it?
I'd agree. I think you're right. The two inclusions, the having two League of Ireland players is always good, good for the league, and it's good to see that sort of initiative by Carla Ward to bringing in younger players, as you said, like through Aoibhinn. And then obviously, yes, Saoirse Noonan, who's been on fire for Celtic all year, really. And it was nearly a case of when rather than if she'd get back in, so that's really good for her as well. And as you said, having a player who can even come on in the game and try to get you a goal when we need it is really, really crucial. So I think they're two good parts of the squad.
Yeah, I think we can make comparisons with Greece and the level that we played in the previous two games. So if we go and we win these games, we're not just going to say, oh, it's not because Greece are very good, because obviously, like, my memory is very acute to when we drew that game away that time we didn't qualify for the Euros. So they're not going to be a bad outfit. They're a team we would expect to win and win well, but also we expected that in the previous camp. So it's important that we show that we are levels above these teams and that was a one-off and it's not a sign of things to come, because I think we're all a little bit worried after that it is, because Carla very quickly changed her tune from we want to qualify to the World Cup to this is a rebuild. And those messages don't quite compute. I think she's right in the fact that it's a rebuild. I think her saying World Cup, I think that was overly ambitious, and setting expectations is not a problem. I have no problem in doing that. But I do have a problem if we're going to go out and perform in the same way against lower opposition. Even if you're rebuilding, even if there's change in style, there's certain fundamentals that we felt were very lacking in that game. Just the overall cohesion of the team and the spirit. And that's the last thing we want to be talking about in an Irish team.
And especially, as you said, Karen, it's so quick, the narrative can change. Like all of a sudden, if these two games kind of don't go their way, it's...
Carla's under pressure straight away off the bat, which is, terrible, because we want to give her time because she came in, she has the credentials, she has all that. Maybe it'll take time to find her feet. It's a different ball game to club football. So, but yeah, the pressure will certainly be on her if this doesn't go to plan.
By all accounts, though, I was actually at that media day yesterday, and it's interesting the way she sort of deals with the players. She seems to have a lot of one-to-one contact with them, even in terms of review. Like she won't just tell them where they went wrong. She'll ask them what they thought, and then like compare different perspectives of different players and kind of
I
get.
think that's important. I think as a player, I'd really appreciate that, feeling like my input is valued and building that relationship. I think I actually, as a player, I really think that that's important to bring your players into the conversation, make them feel valued, especially because what I felt in the last game was that we lacked a little bit of maybe not leadership, but ownership of certain elements of the game. And if you have those conversations, people might be more willing to step up. We can't always look to Katie and Denise to rally the team. There has to be more leaders within there if they happen to have an off day. And having those conversations and making you feel important within that team, no matter what your role is, comes from those conversations. I think that that is a very good thing. So I was kind of saying before, I think they need a leadership group. I think they need to rebuild that because we've had a lot of turnover and stuff like that. So it's time for girls who are maybe a little bit younger. Well, we still see them as young, but they're not young in the greater scheme of things in terms of their experience and their caps and stuff now. So I think I'd like to see more of that certainly in this camp as well, more leadership, more ownership of their own performances and their own attitude.
Just even in terms of that, like I know there was chat about Saoirse Noonan there, and like there was a lot of calls from fans for her involvement, and obviously Scarlett, you were saying like she's going so well for Celtic, why wouldn't she be? But she was chatting about how after the last camp she actually rang Carla to basically ask where she could improve and go from there. And just I suppose the school of thought was put to her, you know, like that could have backfired, but it actually, I imagine, sort of empowered both sides because, you know, Carla would have got that, I suppose, insight into Saoirse that she is looking for whatever it is she needs to do to improve. And then Saoirse got the feedback, and then obviously it paid off because she's included now this time.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good to hear from Saoirse. I actually didn't know that, but I think having that sort of nice about you to go and ring an international manager when you're not really in the picture, or you feel probably like she probably felt a bit exiled, like she was playing really well in good form, and obviously there's the whole thing of few players not having clubs at the time in the last camp, and to not be featured in the squad must be really disheartening, and you're kind of thinking, Jesus, like am I ever going to get back in? And to have that confidence and that like to have that drive to sort of ring Carla and say, right, like here, let's be open conversation. Like, where can I improve? How can I get into your squad? I think is really, really good. And it's something that players should probably look at. And I think Carla Ward, from what I have seen of her, is the type of character to absolutely love that. Like to go, Jesus, like you really want to get back into the squad. You have a passion for this, and you want to do everything you can to get into the next Ireland squad. And I think that's brilliant. I really like that from Saoirse. I rate that like. And I think it has paid off for her because I think that would
Yeah.
be nearly a turning point in Carla's mind going, right, so who actually you look after the Slovenia game, he goes, who wants to be part of this? Like who wants to back me and
Yeah, because you'd have to
sort of
say there was
coming on.
spots, you would think there was spots up for grab after that.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, take the bull by the horns.
Yeah, chats come with Saoirse, Kira Carusa and Amber Barrett. I'm sure throughout the off the ball social channels during the week. Finally, just two other recent announcements. Obviously, they announced the USA doubleheader in the summer, and also that they'll play in Páirc Uí Chaoimh for the finale of the Nations League. Do we love to see it spreading the women's national team around the country, or
Oh
what's?
yeah, Cork was great now the time we played France. I have to say that the the noise from the fans and the people who got behind it, I thought that that was fantastic. So seeing it spread around, particularly to somewhere like Cork, that's we back in the day we played a good few games around Turner's Cross and stuff like that, and the game has grown since then. So it's good to see those fans be given an opportunity to go more locally. I think Dublin will always be the hub, and I think that's what it should be. We should have a home stadium that we make our own and becomes synonymous with the team. I like Tala. I like the size of the stadium. I like when it's packed and you can kind of hear the crowd going. And I think that should be the case. But for these kind of games where they're not your Euro qualifiers and you're not looking for that kind of steady the ship stuff, I think it's good to give the fans an opportunity for that. The doubleheader against USA, not the type of team that we need to improve against, but I want an opportunity in terms of giving girls experience. So it's more of a sentimental win than a
Yeah.
very boring my outlook on where we need to improve and the steps that we need to make kind of game.
Absolutely, yeah. When you consider as well the consolation, obviously, that we're not going to the
All the
Euros.
all the good European teams are busy, so
Exactly. Well, look, we'll have to wait and see to see how that one pans out for Carla Ward, hopefully over the Greece window. The COYGIG Pod on Off the Ball in association with Cadbury, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. If you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet us at the COYGIG Pod or email the COYGIG Pod at offtheball.com. Now, though, we look back on the WSL and the day-to-day, I guess, and the state of play heading into the international break. We'll be back with the team of the week. Scarlett wins for Man United, Arsenal, Villa and City. Draws between Leicester City and Tottenham, and then Chelsea and West Ham. Who's made the team of the week?
Yeah, so I'll fire away here. In goal, we have Janina Leitzig. Three at the back, we have Ella Morris, Mesel Naomi, and Dominic Janssen. And then in the middle, we have four. We have Henny Miziawa, Micah Hamano, Marie Hobinger, and Missy Bo Kearns. On the left, we have Chloe Kelly. On the right, we have Beth Mead. And then up front, we have Shakira Martinez.
Thoughts?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we spoke about Martinez and the impact that she's made. And if she finds her feet in this league, it could be the thing that spurs Ham on. I think that they started the league a little bit disappointing as we expected, but she's kind of helped them turn a corner. That's a huge moral boost for a team to stay with Chelsea under that pressure for that long. So yeah, she definitely deserved her place because the second header as well, like that was back across goal. She had only one place to put it against, for me, the best keeper in the league. So that was outstanding. Obviously, Janssen is in the back there for Man United. We've seen her in midfield an awful lot as well, obviously, for Man United. And again, when she was being signed, you were kind of like, oh, she's a steady signing. But I actually think it's the steadying influence that maybe Man United needed in that midfield. Sometimes they were overrun. And again, she popped up with a goal. Obviously, unfortunate the way it came about because we usually have Courtney as our keeper of the week. But no, a really good team. And I think you're right with Leipzig as well. The bottom teams kind of made a couple of moves for themselves this weekend, which was huge, obviously, with Villa and Leicester. And Leipzig really was the difference between like Leicester coming away with 1 point and no points. So yeah, really good team again, Scarlett.
Did you find it tricky to pick Scarlett? I did. That did spring to mind too. Obviously, there's usually a bit of a green tint, but not really this time around. Obviously, just the way things panned out with all the matches.
We have to keep them all grounded before the camp now, so they go in
Yeah.
wanting a spot. No, yeah, it's always tough enough to pick. To be fair, trying to watch all the games and obviously fit in everyone that's you think is playing quite well or whatever. And yeah, I think for me, I thought it was great to see Chloe Kelly back confident. I thought that was the first game where I really went like she's back to her best. I
Yeah, we
think
saw
even
sparks in the last two games, but I think this time she was like, I'm one of the main players, and she's putting her ring in the hat, I think, for that England spot as well.
Yeah, I think so. And even just you can tell by a player's first touch how confident they are. And Chloe Kelly was dancing around the wing yesterday, so I think that's great to see. Obviously causing the own goal and getting assist as well. So really, really positive from her to see her back. And as Karen said, you're putting your hat in the ring for that England spot as well. So I think that move is really, really positive one for her. And obviously at the time it was very controversial, but I think she'll be enjoying football again, hopefully now.
Mm.
So yeah, really, really good from her. And then I think also Henny Mizawa for Man United, I think she just does that dirty work in midfield that you don't really see. And she's one of those players that kind of can go under the radar very easily and she won't get all the plaudits or all the credit. She'll rarely score goals, doesn't really tie in with any big plays, but she's just that player that like every single team in the world really needs
Mm.
in midfield to sort of control the area, pick up seconds, do the dirty work that no one else really wants to do. And yeah, I think she was really, 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 really good for United as well at the weekend.
Yeah, plenty of talking points there, especially as you say, from the Arsenal point of view, you basically could have picked any of the attackers there. It was a good day out for them against Crystal Palace, 4-0. You touched on it there, just something I was wondering about. Obviously, Chloe Kelly and the loan move, and given everything that's unfolded at City, do you reckon she's back to City in the long term, or like has this has obviously really worked out for her at Arsenal. Would she look to stay?
If you're looking at it, obviously Gareth Taylor's gone now, so that could be a new sort of era for her now at City if she was to go back. I know Nick Cushion's there. I'm not sure if he's there on a permanent or if he's just there interim. I don't know if that's been announced or not, but obviously if someone new comes in the off season in the summer, like she might look to go back and sort of a new start for everyone. That's what happens when a new manager comes in. Everyone's has a clean slate. You're trying to impress, and I think she's definitely putting herself in the shop window for Arsenal by her performances. And then obviously if you're the next Manchester City manager and you're watching the games, you're going, I want her back in the summer. I want her back in my team. And so I think it's really up to her. I think if it was that sort of traumatic, not traumatic, that's the wrong word, but if it took that much of a
If there was
toll
a
on her
sour
once she was at
taste
City,
left, yeah.
yeah, then she mightn't want to go back to City. But I think time will just tell. I think it'll come down to wherever she's happiest because obviously, or if she's happy at Arsenal, she's playing well. That's all you kind of want. So,
Yeah, it depends how fickle fans are as well and stuff like that.
mm,
But if I was a Man City fan and I'm looking at her put in those performances and playing Champions League and stuff, she could try and force their hand a little bit as well because now Man United do obviously have a really horrendous run in for the end of the season. But if they get a result against City, they keep that Champions League spot. City becomes a less attractive prospect for people.
mm.
Um, and obviously there's a little bit of to and fro that happened over the loan move and certain conversations that certainly need to be had there. So I don't know, it'd be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, on the Man United aspect then, 2-0 for them against Everton. Obviously, like a brilliant performance from that point of view. And then obviously they showed their defensive ability as well, which they have done, I suppose, all season. You were talking about it there, but 2 wins away from the Champions League now for Man United, 4 WSL games to go. Do you think they'll go on and secure it?
I don't know, like they have to play the top three like best three teams in the country. Like could they? You're looking at Chelsea, and Chelsea are drawn with West Ham. Chelsea, I think, will be a bit peeved that they have to go and win more games now, and that they can't just concentrate on the Champions League and winning that. So they could want to finish on a high. I want to believe it because they've been going so well all year, and like particularly their home form, obviously haven't lost a game, and their defensive record is probably the best in the league. But there's part of me that just is like they're going to lose the last three games of the season and City will pip it. I don't know.
What do you reckon, Scarlett?
I think they're deserving for what they've done this year, but
I think you're on mute, Scarlett.
They're definitely deserving there. Yeah, there's a lorry keep driving past my apartment, so I just want to mute myself for the noise will put in with all what you are saying. But yeah, I think United are well deserving. And I think they will get it. I don't know. I know it's three tough games, but I think the form they're in, I can't see them. I obviously it's tough 3 games, but I can nearly see them maybe getting 4 points from them, and I think that's enough.
what
If you
is
beat City, you're through. Like so.
well, that's it. It's
Uh,
this. It's the City game, and
yeah.
like they've got like Chelsea. Chelsea will beat. They'll beat Crystal Palace, and that's just before the Man United game. Man United game lines up with their Barcelona game. Which is that's going to be their focus.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I think that's something that could help. I think it would have worked in Man United's favor if Chelsea could have beaten West Ham this weekend
Mm.
and had
Yeah,
that bit more like mathematical breathing space.
this is it. Yeah, so Chelsea 2-2, West Ham. Obviously a brilliant goal from Hamano, first touch, and then Beaver Jones hits home the second. But then they come back into it. I was actually looking up there. It's obviously not something that generally happens, Chelsea, to give up that kind of momentum. But I suppose the main takeaway from that, like Sonia Baumeister refused to admit that, they're using it as an excuse that they're in the Champions League and, obviously playing City 4 times in 12 days. It's
Yeah.
gonna catch up on you, I'm sure. But like, is that something they'll have to factor in, or will other teams be factoring in, as you mentioned there, that, they do have maybe their eyes elsewhere?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think on another day they win that game
Mm.
6-2.
Yeah.
Because they the first half pressure and the possession that they had and some of the chances they created, they will be disappointed that they didn't put it to bed. But I thinking back, Zadorsky put in an unbelievable block on Macario at 2-0 in the first half. If that goes to 3-0, it's absolute game over. And something as small as a block can be a catalyst and kind of drive a team on. And they didn't trouble them too much after that. Obviously, they had a lot of possession and stuff, but they left themselves a little bit exposed on the counter. You'd have to say the first Martinez goal, like Millie Bright's positioning, like kind of a rare mistake, like maybe a tired step, which she wouldn't be used to taking. So a manager is always going to say, no, we're not tired because you don't want that kind of mentally to filter into the group. But I'm sure the girls will be feeling it. Like when you think about the team, this is their fifth year on the trot for winning the league. That means they've been in the Champions League for that long. They're
Yeah.
always in FA Cups. They've a lot more games than people. Now their squad depth is brilliant, but mentally, I think the City games will have taken a lot out of them because it's so hard to go up against the same team so often. And mentally, obviously, coming out on top of that, having to go and win 3-0 and doing it, it's hard to pick yourself up back up to that level after having so much euphoria. Like, even that just will drain them a bit. Um, I think they'll see it out no problem, but uh, yeah, I don't know. Don't know how much impact it'll have. I think we could see them drawn, like you say, they could draw a couple more league games, but I don't think it'll matter.
It was actually the first time in more than 7 years that Chelsea had squandered a two-goal lead. So, as I
Now
say,
that in itself tells you the quality that they're working at.
exactly. City, obviously, we were touching on there, 2-1 against Brighton. Obviously, a first goal on the debut for Kirsten Casperay and a crazy final few minutes with two goals after 90. Scarlett, you were touching on there, obviously, Nick Cushion in there as interim manager. Fourth place with a few games to go, seven behind United. What will their kind of aspirations be for this run-in?
I think you're looking at that Champions League place, but I don't think they're going to get it, to be honest. I thought that was kind of the Brighton team we've seen before Christmas.
Mm.
A really positive performance from them, and I think if you're looking from a Brighton perspective, you're disappointed not to get anything from the game. I know obviously they only scored late, but I thought they were the better team. I didn't think City obviously took their chances and um didn't really play their usual game. I think as well as that, the toll of losing the Champions League quarter-final to Chelsea would take a massive toll on them, confidence-wise and morale-wise in the club around the team, everything
Mm.
really. And then Brighton really took advantage of that in the way they played. They really came at City. I thought they're really, really positive and just in their terms of their style of playing, they really went at them. But obviously, I think that's a probably testament to City to sort of get a result from that game, get a positive result. I know it left late and it was kind of on edge for a while, but they did what they needed to do at the end of the day. But I think it was really, really good from Brighton. I think seeing sparks of them again that we did before Christmas and sort of the team that could have been this year, I think,
Mm.
if they'd kept that consistent form, which is a bit of a pity, but I think what Vidicic is trying to do, or yeah, Vidicic is trying to do is really, really positive, and he obviously is a style of play he wants to go with, and it worked for him for the first half, and then I think teams figured them out. But I think if they can sort of get new players in the summer, improve on what they need to improve on defensively, then I think they'll be the team to beat sort of next year. I think they'll be up
You've
and coming
jinxed
team
them now.
again.
You've done an Aston
So
Villa on them.
that's probably it. But that's what it looks like anyway. But yeah, they'll probably get relegated now next year.
Speaking of Aston Villa, 2-1 win for them against Liverpool. Obviously, from the Liverpool point of view, I'd be interested to know your thoughts, obviously, on part-time assistant coach Amber Wheatley, who's obviously was going quite well, and then obviously this result. But like, how do you think she's doing? And then, is it an ever-increasing possibility that she gets that job on a full-term basis? I know obviously that result doesn't really contribute to that, but Villa were obviously great on the day.
I find it really hard to know with this one because obviously she had that really positive start, but then is that just the new manager bounce? And does she have long enough with them now to be fully assessed to see if she's ready for that senior role? Um, obviously she hasn't been in with Ireland for that long, so it's not like if she's not in, it will hugely impact
Yeah.
the overall anything within our squad. So you wouldn't be worried about that. It's, I guess, how much she wants this. I assume she would want the Liverpool job. It's a huge role. They're a growing team. They were disappointing this season, so they're going to need someone very, very strong to bring them through next season. Is she that person? I don't know. I think they need to recruit again, add a few a player like you mentioned, Himano for Man United. I think Liverpool need that type of player as well. Because they have got the good pace up front. Like, you know, they've got Smith, they've got Leanne Kieran, and they have a few good players. This is obviously a very disappointing result, so I think the next few games will tell a lot. Villa needed a win. This was the time they got the win. They were probably deserving of it. Obviously, it came from an own goal in the end, which is really unfortunate. You know, you come on as a sub to kind of maybe shore things up, and then you're the person who gives away the own goal. So I felt really bad for Jenna Clark in that situation. But it's kind of, I think we were hoping Villa would get relegated just because they haven't shown us enough this season for the talent that they have. I think the talent that they have should be staying up in this league, but we were talking about United being deserving of the Champions League. When you compare these to Crystal Palace, I think Crystal Palace showed a lot more fight and stuff, but I think that this win by Villa has kind of condemned Crystal Palace, and now it's a huge summer for Villa, and seeing, do they need to do a clear out? Is that what's wrong? Is it management? Because something's not ticking there, because they just leak goals like you wouldn't believe.
And then finally, Scarlett, Leicester City 1-1 with Spurs. Obviously, that Tottenham came from behind to end their 5-match losing streak in the Women's Super League. It was an awful goal to concede on the OG after a brilliant save.
I know, it's just one of them where such a great save and then to just bounce off one of your players as a keeper, I'd say, is the most sickening thing in the world. It was a great save by her, and obviously in the team of the week as well, she played really, really well and really got that point for Leicester in the end. But it's an awful way to concede, and then as a defender, there's nothing you can do there. It just kind of, you can't even react to it. It's that quick. And then obviously, yeah, getting the equaliser then a while later. And that Spurs were a lot better than we've seen them in recent weeks. Obviously said they were a really bad run of form, and I think even to get this draw isn't the worst thing in the world, but you're going away from that game and Spurs absolutely dominated, and you're probably thinking you should get 3 points there. But I think given the circumstances, away from home, tough day, sort of not being on your side, the keeper having a worldie, you're kind of thinking, right, it's not our year. This is sort of sums it all up. The one day you do, well, not the one day, but you put out a great performance and you don't really get anything out of it. So I think they'll be happy enough to end that streak, but overall probably disappointed and frustrated, I'd say, is the main word in that camp this week.
For sure, we'll have to see where it all lands after the international break. The COYGIG Pod on Off the Ball in association with Cadbury, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. If you want to get in touch with the pod, you can tweet us at the COYGIG Pod or email the COYGIG Pod at offtheball.com. Thanks so much, Karen and Scarlett. I've been Alanna Cunnane, and this has been the COYGIG Podcast. We'll hope there's no Greek tragedy headlines coming for Carla Ward and her crew, and I'm sure Kathleen and the crew here will be back to dissect that performance next time. So thanks for joining us. See you then.
The COYGIG Pod on Off the Ball in association with Cadbury, official snack partner of the Republic of Ireland women's national team.